LPTV. Well, welcome back, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here today. We have a great show.
We do have a great show.
First up, we've got Sabrina Short, the founder and director of NOLAVATE Black out of NOLAVATE Black out of New Orleans. It's great. She'll be talking to us about her latest project, Black Tech NOLA, where cultural curators will convene virtually to illuminate and cultivate the intersection of tech, art, and culture. And then we'll have our friend,
Doug Walner,
CEO of Align, talking to us about perfecting an artful pivot and how NOLA can tap into their muscle memory of a post-Katrina climb to rebuild and come out stronger than ever before. We can't wait to see you, Doug. All right.
Well,
it's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I feel like we've got a little spring summer fever here.
I've got summer fever.
I know.
It kind of caught up with us. I mean, we blew right past Victoria Day, otherwise known as May 2-4.
We always celebrate the Canadian holidays here on Lifestyle Business.
But we missed that on Monday and we worked as usual. Anyway, and next week is your birthday.
Yep.
And it is the official end on the 23rd of May of Anniversary Month, which we celebrate because we got married on the 4th of April in Wrightsville, and then we got married again on the 23rd of May in Italy.
Right.
One was family, the other was friends and family. And so we call it anniversary period, which is basically 6 weeks of excitement. And we have been doing that shelter in place. So that's A. And then for your birthday, we're going to take a hiatus next week.
A hiatus from the show. We're going dark next week. This is doing 2 shows a week where it's like the Daily Show. You now understand why Trevor Noah takes a week off during holidays. It's a lot of work. Our producer Ariel,
she needs a break.
We need a break. So we're going to be dark next week. But because we're dark next week, you take a look back at when we started. So when was our first show?
Well, first of all, we've been talking about our last normal day. Does everyone remember their last normal day out there? Our last normal day, I know you were going to say my birthday party on the Sunday, but it was actually the 12th of March, the day after my birthday.
What made it so normal?
We left to celebrate my birthday. We stayed in a hotel. We went out to a cool dinner at a fancy place. We went back to the owner's place, his little man cave, and checked out his wine collection. And we went to some wineries for wine tasting, and some of them were open and some of them were starting to close.
I do remember we were like,
it was like the doors
why is this
were
guy
shutting.
closed? That's so weird, and then all of a sudden,
boom.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody else has similar experiences. Lots of New Orleans viewers on today and New Orleans guests. Mardi Gras, post Mardi Gras, all of that felt very normal. But it's interesting. It's sort of.
You asked when our first show was. Do you know?
March 19th.
Which is actually the day that Gavin Newsom closed down California and insisted on shelter in place. So we were about a quick pivot, Doug. Talk about a quick pivot.
And very prescient and great leadership on behalf of California prescient.
Did not see that word coming.
No, but did you see, honestly, and this is sort of sad but interesting, statistically, if the U.S. would have shut down a week earlier, we would have saved 30,000 lives, if you can believe it. Because it's amazing how well Flatten the Curve worked. New Orleans has not had a COVID-related death in 3 days. New Orleans is a remarkable story in all of this. But in the hot spots that have been analyzed, New Orleans is one of them. New York is the biggest. If that would have started a week earlier, we would have saved lives, which is why thank you to everybody who has been staying home. Thank you to everybody who's wearing masks right now. Saw this article this morning. Houston is already predicted to have a spike this summer because of cell phone data. So it's just amazing how much
because of cell phone data?
They're tracking people and people are out and about and all over. Cell phones don't know if you're wearing a mask or not, but they're already predicting a spike in Houston. So, you know, it's interesting. We're sort of reflecting on this show, at least at the beginning of the show, on the fact that we've all been sheltered since March 19th. We started the show March 19th. Hopefully people remain properly social distanced over the summer and this Memorial Day weekend coming up.
I mean, it does feel like things are starting to open up.
Yeah.
Right, which is good. I mean, I think everybody needs to do that. Over the last couple of months, obviously people have gone through a lot. We've had a lot of feels throughout these last few months. We made a lot of tough decisions.
Yeah,
in a good way, right? Like, and some tough ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that, I'm just going to adjust my desk. You didn't do that. I don't think that it's going to be a permanent opening. I think we're going to see some open and closes throughout time. Would you not agree?
Yep.
But I do think, and this is really good indicator of sort of our guests today, to talk a little bit about some of the muscle memory that we have. I think what we have done in the last, 3 months or so has been, we may not be in better shape. Our alcohol consumption may not be down, but we have started to build muscles, and we've built some muscle memory around kind of being able to deal with this current situation. And I feel almost like we can take this collective breath, like a big gulp of oxygen as the next wave comes over, as long as it's through a mask. But this is the opportunity for some.
By the way, masks are good identifiers of whether or not you walk around with coffee breath all day.
Oh, do you?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It
means I don't have to wear as much lipstick.
And to your point, this last 2 months or so have also been like we started this show. We started this show literally because we were like, well, shit, we're not going to be able to see anybody. Connect with folks, and we depend on being able to go visit the Launchpad locations, our team going into the Launchpad locations. The team's all been work from home. So how best to connect with our community. And it's great to see so many people here today. Hope you're all well, but hopefully the show has been a little bit of a connection point
as a small business resource. So we have navigating PPP, doing it ourselves, bringing on experts. That's been kind of one of the most rewarding parts of the show, is sort of hearing from people, not that it's just entertaining.
Yep.
Maybe. But is that we're actually getting resources out there, and we had some pretty amazing people come on to talk about that.
Yep.
And aren't you glad that we're not talking about applying for PPP loans anymore after next week?
People are starting.
You know what we're going to start talking about? Forgiveness of PPP loans. So I got off the phone with the accountant today. It's not easy. It's not easy being cheesy. So maybe we're going to have her come on as a resource when we get back and talk a little bit about how you can calculate your relief and see that you can be able to not pay it back. I mean, what would be actually good is loans below a certain amount are forgiven, and loans above a certain amount have to go through a rigorous process. Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah.
That would be actually the simplest way to do it, because obviously it was so hard for people to actually get loans. Those who got the smallest amount of loans were the ones who needed it the most and were often shut out of the process. So there's that.
Also curious about what folks have done over the last couple months, like this show, in terms of other aspects of your business. We were reflecting on the other day, we've been doing a lot And it's sort of like when the going gets tough, the tough get going,
tough
right?
get going. That's
Been-
you, Generation X.
Been hearing a lot about businesses that have been energized, you know, whether pivoting through Pivot Week, you know, lots of businesses pivoted into PPE, not PPP. But also we've implemented a lot of new technology.
Oh yeah, hacker over here.
Conversational commerce, by the way, for anybody who has not done that yet. It's fascinating from if you use your website for lead generation, how much a chatbot you know, drives lead flow. Our lead flow has probably been up 3x because we can interact with people on the website, and
that's 100% right. We stopped running ads for Workspace March 19th. Not surprising because it didn't seem appropriate, or what were we going to do, right? So we stopped doing that, which then we saw a reduction in leads. Not entirely. We still got a few through the website and filled in the form. And then just two weeks ago, as we're starting to come online, Chris implemented a chatbot on the site on Friday afternoon. And this is something we've been talking about doing for a year as we were rebuilding the website, and we just have not gotten around to it. And now is the time for us to we're ticking off boxes, we're just getting it done. And we installed that chatbot, and we've had like 3x leads.
Yeah.
With no ads. So it's been really fascinating. As we've talked about, there's been no other time that the stakes are so low to try stuff, and the stakes are so high to sit on the sidelines and not do anything because you're either worried or you're waiting or you're planning. Just doing is actually pretty fun.
Right. We've seen the rise of virtual events, and Sabrina will talk a little bit about how NOLAVATE is going virtual this summer. So all sorts of things. It's just interesting how people respond to crisis with, you know, innovation and doing new things and testing new things, and a lot of these things are going to stick around.
So I know. It's been good. I mean, a lot of change for good.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Shall we bring
ready to get to it?
Yes. So we bring in Sabrina.
Sabrina, we're going to bring you in, and Anne's going to introduce you. I can't see her.
Sabrina Short is a community organizer, creative, and founder at NOLAVATE Black, the New Orleans Black Tech Professional Network. You think I would have gotten it better the second time around. She loves bringing people together and inspiring souls to change the world. And she's here today to talk about her latest endeavor, Black Tech NOLA 2020, where participants will convene virtually to make innovation forward and solve the big problems we're facing today. Something we need now more than ever. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you for having me.
You're
It's
welcome.
our pleasure.
Well, welcome virtually to seeing each other. Last time we saw each other in person was during Mardi Gras. That was an awful lot of fun.
Lots of drinking.
Yeah.
The last normal day, right? Drinking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who knew that was going to contribute to problems?
I know. It was on a high note. We ended on a high note. Like, I had a lot of fun, you know?
I know.
That is a good point.
Well,
right.
You know, that the New Orleans sort of recovery and you know, survival story, just at a high level before we get into what you're working on, it is positive, right? The you know, the flattening of the curve, and things are definitely heading in the right direction.
I was just having that conversation with someone this morning about how Mardi Gras caused this explosion in cases in our region, and when you compared us to cities triple our size, right? We had so many cases, and to hear the news of not having, you know, any COVID deaths in 3 days, this is so positive, so encouraging. And when I had to kind of log off of social media while during the peak of the quarantine, because I was seeing so many deaths in my feed, and so many people being impacted, people I'm close with being impacted. It was tough, and to now be in the space now that we're kind of coming out of it, it's good. It's good. I'm just hoping that we don't rush and like go too fast and go too soon. I want us to kind of baby step, I want us to baby step this thing. Uh-oh.
Muted here.
I've got you muted, sorry.
I'm sorry. Was I talking too much?
It's our 80th show and someone forgot to turn off their phone ringer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's like the first time that's ever happened.
But anyway, yes, very positive, headed in the right direction, and the city's been through a lot, and people have been through a lot, and there's been a lot of loss. But it's I think that's a very important message to keep in mind, is it's not over, and we have to collectively continue to be as responsible as we can, and stick to guidelines, and what we're hearing from the government and leaders, at least local leaders, about what we should be doing here.
And we do this thing well, right? We do this well, right? So we have hurricanes that teach us how to get ready, and how to, we're not, telling us to stay home with a bunch of food and snacks. We know how to do that, right? And I think it just says a lot about our city, how we're able to just kind of, literally there was a switch that was flipped. And we got to work. We got on the communication, we got on putting people on the ground, we deployed services. Within a week, we had organizations talking about how we could support businesses. I'm like, wow, we're on this thing. And I'm not sure if other cities were that efficient, but we've had a lot of practice, right? We've had a lot of practice. We're really good at that.
It was interesting. I just saw an interview with the chef Kyle here in the city, and they were talking about how New Orleans and actually Sonoma County, which is where we live, are like, we've been going through basically dress rehearsals with fires and hurricanes and all of these natural disasters that all these cities have done. And so it's like the response is dramatic and really fast. And what we've been talking about is the importance of taking that sort of muscle memory and that muscle, and then helping the rest of the nation actually see that and learn from it. And I think that's a pretty exciting thing. But let's talk a little bit about NOLAVATE.
Yeah. So NOLAVATE was, I don't know, you had a question? I was just gonna get right to it.
You go.
NOLAVATE Black was started out of sort of selfish reasons. I really wanted to connect with other creatives like myself, right? I support churches and nonprofits and helping them with their digital strategies. And I said, I want to know who else is out there doing what I do. And I pulled together a few folks, and I said, how are we sharing information? How are we supporting each other? And the two young ladies, they said, well, we're not. There isn't a network for us. There isn't a whole lot going on for us. And I said, well, let's pull some folks together and start doing these meetups for creatives. And the meetup turned into a conference. We were just gonna do like a little meetup in a little space. And one of the companies here in New Orleans, DXC, said, hey, we wanna support it. We love this idea. And it turned from being, just creatives to tech creatives. And we had this amazing conference about what we can do to support people of color who are creatives in the tech industry, who are doing amazing things in the city around the cultural economy. And we had this first conference, had 150, 175 folks show up, and we planned it in 8 weeks.
That's awesome.
And so I walked away from that going, okay, so much like most conferences and events, what do you do with this? What happens now? And I wasn't exactly sure if it was a success or not. You know, you had 150 people there, but will they come back? Do they care? Is it because it was the right timing? Is it essence? Like what? So I started getting these phone calls from folks saying, thank you so much. I feel like I'm not alone. I met so many people. And then I said, well, I guess we're doing it again. And so I started planning for year 2. And not only did I get local response, I got national response. We got Lyft, we got Microsoft, we just had Amazon. We just had some amazing folks say, you know, we want to help you in New Orleans. We want to help your emerging, ecosystem. We want to support that. And here comes Valerie Jarrett saying, you know, I want to speak at this event. And I'm like, wait a minute. The Valerie Jarrett? Like, this has got to be somebody else, like another Valerie Jarrett. And I don't know, it's just amazing. Hannah Beachler, Oscar winner from Black Panther, she joined. Arif Purcell, who's the Tupac of Tech. I mean, just Microsoft. I mean, just amazing folks came out, and we went from 175 folks to 350 folks that we actually counted. There were a lot of people that just kind of showed up. But on paper, we had about 345 folks in our second year. People said, this is your second year? And I said, yeah, I know, it's my second year. I'm kind of shocked myself. And then, you know, after last year's event, I really started thinking about who do we want to be as an organization beyond just events? Like, how can we make this sustainable? So we had more conversations. I brought on an advisory board, and we started thinking together about, like, how do we really support the community in a real way? And we kicked off Tech Ready, which is an initiative to help people shift to tech, right? People who already have skills, who already have work experience that are easily transferable to a different industry. So we started this Tech Ready. And we started the Tech Ready with, I think we had 15 folks the first meeting. And then by December, we had 45 coming. And then we had a happy hour where we were close to 80 folks coming out. And then COVID happened. And then I kind of got nervous because my entire model is around face-to-face interaction. It's around networking. It's around interpersonal relationships and connection, synergy, chemistry. Mm-hmm. And so how do you transfer that in a space where we're not allowed to see each other? And so I said, well, maybe this will pass, and we'll start planning around maybe half virtual, half meetup. And then this kind of grew and became something else. And we said, okay, we're going to shift to a completely virtual space. And so in my mind, that would have been an easy lift. But now that I'm in the middle of planning it, shout out to all of the production folks out there who do this every day. Who get paid to do this every day. Shout out to the production folks, because shifting to virtual is not easy. No. But I'm very excited about the really cool and creative ways we're going to connect with techies this year.
That's awesome. We attended 2 virtual conferences in 1 week, a couple weeks back. Mm-hmm. And you're right, it's complicated, and there's a bunch of, it's a very steep learning curve. It was pretty interesting how they did it. They used a couple different platforms. We're happy to connect you after the show if you want to hear sort of their real life experiences and learn from some of the gotchas that they had. We actually did 3 that week.
Yeah, we did.
3, we did. And one was had some very technical challenges, which was also
I've heard of entire internet connections shutting down.
Yeah.
I've heard of keynote speakers and the baby jumps in the shot and in the middle of the talk. I've heard all kinds of things. Yeah, we're gonna do ours. We're gonna have a balance of pre-recorded and live.
Great.
So our talks are going to be pre-recorded and they're going to live on our website, so you can get them on demand. And then our meetups will be the live parts where we're coordinating sort of these what we're calling creative combos.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a talk, but we're getting everybody in the space to talk and ask questions about a particular topic.
Amazing.
So that's a little bit laid back, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you're going to kind of facilitate that networking magic that happens.
Yes, that's the big question. So when I started thinking about the virtual events, my question was, how do you create culture online? Like, and does culture translate in a digital space? Like, does it? Can it? And so a lot of my questions were answered as I talked to more and more people about what's the likes and dislikes about virtual conferences. You know, what's your thumbs ups and thumbs down, you know, like, and that gave me a lot of insight. So a couple of things we're doing the 504 The Culture, which is a virtual happy hour. And we'll have some really cool folks from New Orleans hang out with us and share, you know, their insights on what it's like to be a culture curator. As our mayor calls culture bearers, the people who keep our city flowing and thriving. We're going to have a really cool space with live band and some really cool, like, you know, let's happy hour mixing drinks kind of deal. So I'm excited about the 504 The Culture. We'll also, like I said before, a lot of our topics are going to be about creatives in the city. So we're going to have folks local and national really talk about what it means to them to work in this space, in this city, in this community. So we're going to try our very best to translate culture online. I think it's going to be great.
I'm sure it will. And what I love about the story is that, you know what, people often start conferences or start to do those things with the end goal in mind. And then in the reality is that it's actually creating a compelling experience that's authentic, that makes people, you don't make people want to be part of your conference because you want them to, you make them be excited about it because of what you're actually doing. And so I love that message to the audience around sort of think really about what you want to achieve. And it doesn't matter about the numbers, it actually matters about the follow-up afterwards where people are like, that was really valuable. I really had a great time.
It was really, so last year was at the ACE, and you know, event planners out there who's listening, I feel you. I don't know if you saw, if you watched the Insecure show on HBO with Issa, the last episode that she had, she planned this community block party, and the last episode was the morning after. And she's laying there in the bed, and I'm like, I feel that, right? Like, you're like, wow. Like, there's this sort of, I don't know whether to be happy. I don't know whether, you know, I'm tired. I don't know if I'm drained. I don't know. It's like all of these emotions going on all at the same time. And I totally felt that particular episode of being an event planner, you know, there's a lot of that you pour into an event. You're not just pouring a concept or bringing people together. You're really pouring your soul into, you know, your work. You're not beyond passion. This is you. It's a reflection of you. And so if people don't like it, if they didn't have a good time, if they didn't, you know, it was terrible, it hurts, right? Yeah. It hurts. And so last year, I was having all of those feelings. I'm like, just like that, laying in the bed in the Ace Hotel. And I'm just like, I don't know whether to be happy, excited. Was it good? Was it great? And someone sent a package to my room and a thank you. And it was from the crew at Deloitte Digital. And they sent me this really, thank you so much. You gave us more than we ever thought we needed.
Oh.
I said, oh man, you know, like, okay, I can be happy. I can be happy, you know, like I can feel good. But there is this moment, just like in that episode, where you're just laying there, like you have all of the emotions happening all at the same time. And it feels good to be validated by the people that you're serving, that yes, this is what we need, and thank you, and we appreciate you, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, we know how much work goes into it because we've done a lot of events ourselves, and I want to commend you and thank you, because not only is there a lot of work and effort that goes into the event, but it's leadership. Ultimately, it's leadership, because as you were reflecting, people from all sorts of communities, you want to gather with your tribe, and you want to gather with people of like-minded and want to work on the same things. And so often it takes a leader like you to bring people together to say, hey, let's create this energy, let's put this work in, and gather people. So thank you for doing that. And I'm sure it's going to be wonderful, virtually as well this year. Can you just share a little bit about how folks can get involved, whether attending, sponsoring, supporting, sort of being part of it? I know that we're going to be involved as Launchpad, and we're happy to support.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay! I'm so happy.
You get a launch pad, and you get a launch pad. Everybody gets a launch pad.
Who would have thought Mardi Gras would, bring us together like that?
Exactly.
But yeah, Black Tech NOLA. Black Tech NOLA, you can find us on all platforms. You can either hashtag Black Tech NOLA, or you can find us at NOLA, NOLA, VATE, VATE, black.com, NOLAVATE Black, like innovate, elevate, advocate, black.
Love it.
.com. Our conference is June 29th through July 1st. We will be hosting from our website, so you can find all the information there. We don't have a lot now because, like I said, the heavy lifts of going virtual, we're overhauling our website to make sure that we don't have any crashes.
Mm-hmm.
But please visit us. You can definitely speak. We have a call for speakers out right now. We have a call for speakers, so if you think you have something really amazing to share with the Black Tech community, please, you can email me at sabrina@nolavateblack.com with your speaking idea. If you are a company, we're asking companies not only to sponsor, but to also share your products and services with our audience, right? Because creatives need tools to do their work, and founders also need tools to do their work. And so if you're a company that has some amazing products that you want to share with our folks, please email me as well. We're offering opportunity for companies to do demos on our site through our virtual innovation lab. So if you want to demo how to build a website, or how to set up e-commerce, or how to stream live, we're asking for companies to demo their products and host them on, we'll host your demo on our virtual innovation lab. And then if you just want to write a big giant check and say, we don't want to demo, we don't want to speak, we just got loads of money, I take that as well. Just email me at
Sabrina.
NOLAVATEBlack.com. And right now, we're so extremely grateful to JP Morgan Chase, who's coming in as our title, as well as our co-sponsor, Entergy, who both said we value what you're doing and we're behind you 100%. Even after COVID, they're saying, yes, we got your back. So thank you, Chase and Entergy, for supporting the Black Tech creatives and me in New Orleans.
That's amazing. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's easy to write a check. It's hard to do the heavy lift.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really easy to write a check if you don't worry if it will bounce.
I will use the check very, very well, I promise. One of the things that we're doing, and I don't know if my time is up or not, but one of the things that we're doing is we're launching a membership service with NOLAVATE Black. The number one request that we get is we want more opportunities to connect with techies, to mentor and coach and advise. So we're launching a membership service that allows techies to connect with each other and learn from each other, meet each other, mentor each other. And so I'm very excited about that as well.
I love that. I want to hear more about that. You're going to come back
Yeah.
on and talk about that. And I'm excited. We're excited to host you and your team.
Yay.
And we're excited to see where you go. And if you'll let me, I'll tune in too.
Yay. And you guys are absolutely adorable, by the way. Thank you.
Good to see you, Sabrina. We'll
You should see us an hour before the show.
That's like me and my husband. My husband's a pastor, and and people say all the time, "You guys should be co-pastors," and we look at each other. No, we wouldn't get into heaven.
Not everything is what you see on TV, right?
It is. A lot of it is. A lot of it.
All right.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Our next guest is friend and former customer, Doug Walner. He is a Launchpad graduate. He's also the only CEO we know with a side hustle.
Oh, really? The only one?
I know. I mean, I guess I don't have. You used to be a CEO with a side hustle, but you're not a CEO anymore. By day, he runs Align Technologies, a growth management tool that helps develop, track, and measure progress. And by day, oh, I get it, by day and by day. He is also the owner of NOLA Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
With over 25 years of technology business management, Doug is here today to discuss how he's been able to successfully pivot hand sanitizer instead of beer and map out a successful work from home model for Align. He's also going to share valuable perspectives on whether now is the time for small business to execute a pivot or stay the course ahead. Please tell me, Doug, I need to know.
Pivot for sure. Nah, look, it's crazy times. I'll tell you that.
Don't you wish you still were a Launchpad member and you could have just requested rent relief?
Trust me, that thought has gone through my head. You guys have an interesting business. I'm sure it's affecting you in a lot of ways, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for you guys, I think, in your particular model. And I'll tell you, this is actually a fake picture behind me. I'm not in my office right now. I'm at my home office. But you do sort of look around your office and you look how well you're doing as a company, especially a SaaS business like ours, and you kind of ask the question, what am I paying all that rent for? So I think there's a lot of people that are going to be asking that question out there. So I think that bodes well, because you still need a conference room and you still need resources, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's certainly easier than having to do the dishes yourself, right?
That is correct. And by the way, I do the dishes at our office. And that's the one thing I know Chris had told me, that when you leave, you're going to have to do your own dishes. And I am the one who does them every day.
We totally talked about it, because I remember you were like, I mean, I know I'm going to be taking that on. You're like, yeah.
It literally, and some of my employees are watching right now and they know I do the dishes. So.
Right. Wow.
Well, good. Well, excited to sort of hear what's been going on. Tell us, have you guys, has this, impacted in terms of a pivot, or has it accelerated? I mean, in some ways, teams not being together feels like the need for alignment, through tools is even greater, when you're not able to kind of sync up face-to-face every day, even, face-to-face via Zoom, but face-to-face being together.
Yeah, look, like every other business, our sales pipeline fell apart on, literally it was like March 13th or something, I think was the last day in March that we closed a decent amount of sales that day. And then like by Monday, everybody was just telling us, hey, I need time. I'm not spending any money, and it was kind of crazy. So the sales pipeline fell apart, and, then it was just, all right, well, how do we rebuild this, and where do we go from here? And, but, as we looked at what we do, and when we talk to our customers through customer success programs that we do, what we found was we are an excellent product for this environment. And, we keep companies focused on, their goals and setting priorities and tracking and measuring. And, it's sort of this company billboard that everybody can latch onto and view and track progress of how the company is doing. And so, everybody being at home, this is a perfect tool for that. And, we also have communication tools in there like daily huddles, weekly huddles, which allow companies to communicate. So we're ideally positioned for this. And I think our existing customers really are getting a lot of value out of the platform. And we're going to actually do some work. We're going to do a little data analysis on our platform. We take aggregate anonymous data and we sort of look at that. We're going to do a comparison between the COVID period and the period right before it to sort of see what happens. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting data set that I think we'll be able to pull from the platform to see, how much more our company is communicating, how many more huddles are created, how many, priorities are getting completed during this period versus last. So I think there's going to be some interesting data that comes out of that. But we've gotten a really positive response from all our existing customers of how much this is helping them in this particular situation where everybody's worked from home. From a sales perspective, it's amazing because there are businesses out there that are thriving right now. There are people that are actually in a unique spot that are taking advantage of different opportunities that are out in the market. And so we have been able to rebuild the sales pipeline, which is great. April was slow. It was probably 50% of target, but we had people buying. And that to me was a promising sign. March, everybody was saying, no, I need time. I'm just, everyone's freaking out, right? And just sort of figuring out, what does this mean?
I'm actually just trying to stay above water.
Yeah. People started to sort of, get their breath again, I think, in April and start thinking about what do they do and how do they proceed. But look, we're high level. Our software focuses on the high level, right? The working on your business part. And what this did is it created a lot of time for people, a lot more time in the day, less commuting, so to think about their business. And I think, we're having a lot of interesting conversations on the sales calls with our potential customers. There are buyers out there. We're having a good start to May. We're not hitting our targets, obviously, because this is a serious, environment, but we're definitely selling. And I think that's a really positive sign that people, even more so as we get into May, I think now everybody is starting to realize that, hey, this is it, and it's going to be this way for a while. And they've put the craziness of March and early April behind them. Things are starting to open up again. And I think people, they're planning, they're doing shorter planning periods. They're trying to just really look at 30, 60, 90 days. And they're trying to focus on how to, what do we get done in the next, quarter? And they're keeping it close, but they're all thinking about it now. And they're all getting used to the fact that this is how it's going to be. And so we need tools, we need the right communication in our organization. So, we're seeing customers express more of an interest. And we actually think, the interesting thing is this is usually a terrible time of the year for small to medium-sized businesses because, what happens is we sell directly to CEOs and C-suite execs who are interested in our product. And, the reality is there's this, most kids are getting out of school and families are going on vacation in May and June. And there's graduations in May and June. These are typically, those are our target customers. These are typically times when small businesses aren't focused as much on their business. There's a lot of focus on business right now. And I think from that perspective, it's kind of it's a different summer for us. And I think I think the whole summer will be different than it normally is.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I think it's obviously, especially in New Orleans, summer in our business is not a great time because as people are like, leaving the city and they're like, I'll get some office space in September, but let me just chill out. Right. This summer, we're already seeing it. I'm predicting that people are like, I need to get away from my children for a few hours a day this summer as they don't get to go to camp and they've been at home for a few months. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a weird summer for everybody. Yeah. In a good way for business. So last
I think it'll be good for
Doug, we were at Mardi Gras. We were at that luncheon and we were like, doing the guns. We got to get together, chat about the future, a program and a plan. And I imagine right now, more than ever, especially as people start to move to more remote work, these kind of centralized tools are going to be essential. So do you want to sort of talk a little bit about what that entry level is into Align and just kind of give us a sense on, how a smallish mid-sized business would be able to get the most out of the platform in this remote work environment?
Sure. Well, what our product does, what it's perfect for is it's perfect for two types of companies. One, if you don't have a plan, and two, if you do have a plan. Let's say you've gone through the work and you've got your strategic plan in place and you sort of said, these are the goals that I've set for the organization. Every company should have goals. This is like really basic stuff, right? Every company should have goals. And you should find a way to identify how you're going to achieve those goals. We call them priorities. Other people call them objectives. You know, there's different methodologies that call them different things. They're all the same, right? You're gonna pick chunks of things I'm going to focus on to achieve those goals. And, you know, we really call that sort of the business content of the plan, right? And if you have this plan all mapped out, what Align does for you is it gives you a way to structure that plan and break it down into the execution side of that plan, right? So you can put the plan in, but then you can sort of break it up and say, look, these are the priorities that we're going to focus on. And then we can measure each one of those priorities by putting some form of data measurement behind it, whether it's a target value, whether it's a different kind of KPI, or if it's a percent probability of happening, the priority occurring, or whether it's task driven. We allow you to measure each one of those, right? And so you get this visual, what you're really building is a visual expression of the execution of your business. And you're seeing it in charts and graphs and you know,
Cool.
Yeah.
red, yellow, green indicators. Yeah. So, and if you don't have a plan, what we do is we work with you on the customer success side to help you sort of think about how to develop the content to put into the tool. But it really is, you have to sort of identify your goals, identify the priorities that are help you achieve those goals. And then our team can help you get that loaded into the software as well. We support our customers with customer success. So once you've got that in, it's then about executing, and it's about communicating. We have tools in there, daily huddles, weekly huddles. You got to communicate around the key priorities in the business every day. You got to do it every week in a more in-depth session on a weekly huddle. So communication is key, and that's what our product promotes. So, you know, it's plan, execute, and communicate. And we also have a few things in there that allow you to sort of measure culture. We have an employee net promoter score tool in there, so you can sort of gauge how your employees are feeling about the workplace. So there's a lot of things packed in there. It's a great tool. We say, you know, allows you to work on your business versus in your business. You know, CRM, accounting software, project management, that's for like the details of working in your business. You got to step up every once in a while, work on your business, and then focus on it. It should take an average employee 3 to 5 minutes a day in the software, just updating their KPIs, updating their tasks, writing their daily huddle. We've done things now to tie into the workflow of their day by doing integrations. We just launched the Salesforce integration, so critical numbers that you're tracking can be updated in the KPI dashboard. We have a Slack integration, so you could do your daily huddle updates in Slack, and it automatically gets put in. So we're trying to fit into the workflow of all the tools that people are using on a regular basis.
Awesome.
Yeah, the product's come a long way since I guess since we left Launchpad. We've grown a lot in terms of the product, and you know, it continues to grow and get better.
That's awesome.
So, Doug, it seems like obviously this change, and you know, we know in New Orleans, you know, we've been through crisis before. You're hoping to build back not just to what it once was, but even better. And there is going to be a lot changing about work. We're already experiencing with work from home. One of the topics that, you know, a lot of conversation right now is companies that are going to be permanently work from home, or, you know, have, you know, more of a
Like
flexible. Shopify just went work from home today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twitter has sort of done that. A lot of tech companies are doing that. So the adoption of tools like Align, you know, seems like a natural adoption when you know you're managing your team not just by sort of oversight and, you know, sort of, you know, a daily, you know, sort of, I've got to be with my team. A lot of, you know, management or CEO thinking is I need to be around people in order to manage them, but it's more setting, you know, priorities and letting people kind of do check-ins with that. Where do you see, I'm just curious where you see sort of, you know, future of work going, and how that opens up? Because I imagine you're thinking a lot about it the same way we are right now, and what's going to kind of keep on and maintain from this current environment that we're all experiencing.
Yeah, look, I think this has made us all sort of evaluate how we run our operations. I think work from home is a part of business going forward, period. And, you know, again, I think that bodes really well for your business model. And I think it bodes well for the business models of a lot of companies out there that are going to save money by doing some sort of interesting mix. It's definitely something that we're thinking about. In fact, I'm like all about this Align at home theme right now that, I'm just, we're about to infuse that across, our website and our content. And, a lot, to me, this is going to be a regular part of it. We've talked about it internally, how productive we feel we're being, the ability to, just go do a run or go to the gym. We can't go to the gym right now, but get on your Peloton and then just go right into, just, up to your home office or wherever you go, your desk, and get work done. That's a pretty, efficient model for people. And I think it's working out really well for our team. We feel really good about this, but again, we're pretty good on our platform. We see everything happening in real time, but I think it's going to become a regular part of a lot of business. And I think that's going to stretch all the way up to enterprise. And I think for us, we're looking at how do the integrations are important for us as we go forward, because the tools that you use when you're distributed need to all sync together. So that's why we're doing all this work. We're doing a Zapier integration to get more products integrated with ours. We're doing the Salesforce integration and the Slack integration. We've talked about a real good Zoom integration with our Huddle tool, right, to make it seamless. So we're thinking about how does this new environment fit with our product. Even simple things, one of the things that I do in every day Zoom call is I ask my team to give me a thumbs up. If they're, how's everybody feeling, and what I used to say that in the office, it was always seemed like it was work oriented, right? It was like, how are you feeling about work? Or how are you feeling about sales? How's the marketing going? When I say it now, I'm really, I say it on Huddle. What I want is people to give me a thumbs up. And I want to know that they're healthy and they're feeling good and that their family life is good and that they're good overall. It's amazing how humanizing this work from home thing has become. It's really because you see people in their home office or in their den or in, wherever they are. And it really got me thinking about it. Yeah. Like if you get one of those, if you get one of these or you get one of these, you want to know what's going on, right? And so
that's actually an indicator that a CEO or somebody wants to know.
I'm Irish. I don't know how to do that.
Let's have a check-in today, right?
Let's have a check-in. Let's do a one-on-one. I saw a thumb like that or a thumb like that. So we're looking at how to, we do a daily huddle every day. So why isn't there, an indicator on there of how people are feeling every day? If this is going to be the new norm, So those are things we're thinking about.
Yeah,
I love it.
Sabrina's bringing up a good point in the chat, which is also interesting, from the standpoint of the traditional office work environment. There's like a legacy sort of male orientation to I'm in the workplace. I'm not worried about the kids at home. Maybe mom's at home with the kids or whatever. This does introduce more kind of equitability.
Yeah.
In work overall,
or more
as
specifically, as Sabrina says, for years, women have been asking for flexibility in their workplace, not just some men sitting at the office, and they've been told no, that they have to be in the office, and they've been told no, they can't get a promotion because of this, and they've been told no, flexibility is not an option.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time now, guess what? When all y'all are worried about getting sick, right? And flattening the curve. Here you go. You're like, guess what? Flexibility works. We should have tried this all along. It's amazing. It's a picture of work. This is awesome. It's so fantastic. All y'all can fuck off.
Look, I will say this about, there is one class of employees that are having a tough time, and that's the employee that has younger children that are home right now. That's been the hardest thing that I've seen in this work from home, because it's just, there's a lot, right? You've got to manage the young ones at home while you're trying to get work done. And sometimes in both the cases I'm thinking about in my company at Align, it's two employees that have working spouses and they're both working, and it's a difficult situation. So I think when school begins, if they ever do get back to school here, that's going to be good for the work from home environment if we're still in it and we're still doing that. But yeah, I think that's a challenge as well.
And not to pick on you forward-looking gentlemen, because I do know you are wonderful advocates of female leadership and that. But the reality is that when you're sitting at home and there's a husband and a wife and they both have a job, guess whose job gets often prioritized first, and guess who has to actually pick up the extra work. This has been, I mean, my God, in college and women's studies, we studied the double workday. It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
That's right, Ariel. I know. You're the one who has to sit in the kitchen because I see your kids behind you all day. I know Channing's sitting in his home office with that door shut.
All right. Yeah, I agree, Sabrina. This
Got
is
the team fired up.
I feel like we got another show. We got a good thematic for.
Poor Doug. Doug's like, I'm awesome. I care about my team. I'm trying to be supportive here.
I know.
Driscoll just went off on a.
Yeah, really. Let's talk about beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's. We're about to go into Memorial Day weekend.
What are you doing for Memorial Day weekend?
Give us some.
Well, we are open. The NOLA tap room is open. We've been open producing. This has been very strange. I've had two very different businesses, and the ones in manufacturing, and believe it or not, beer, especially in this kind of a pandemic, is a necessity, right? Like people want their booze, they want their alcohol, they want their beer, they want their wine, and so we've been open over there, and so we've been dealing with that and having to deal with employees going to the facility every day and doing work.
Open for takeout only?
So the warehouse and the production side has been open and producing beer for our what we call off-premise, the retail side, the grocery stores and whatnot. And so we've had to produce beer, and we found some interesting things out about our business model over there, and it's a whole nother story. But that business is off because restaurants and bars are closed, right? And they were a big part of we call that on-premise. They were a big part of our sales, and so. But we are still producing, and then we had to close the tap room down, but we also had to, we had to close the tap room down, but we also had to keep sales going, and what we saw, which is kind of amazing, you guys were sort of hinting at this before, that, we have a lot of experience here with disasters and the community coming together, and people naturally, I think we have sort of this natural thing here in New Orleans where you want to support local when this happens. And I think ourselves, and I know the other breweries, we all got a lot of support from local, the community here, buying our products, stopping by our tap room and buying our beer. We started selling more beer than we've ever, we never really sold a lot of beer to package to go. We could always do it, but we didn't sell a lot of it. But people started doing the curbside pickup, and they were doing it to support us. And then we did some stuff in our business to try to replace lost revenue. We started making hand sanitizer. Mm-hmm. And that was a big pivot for us. For those people who are wondering why a brewery makes hand sanitizer, it sort of started with the fact that we have a lot of isopropyl on hand because we clean and sanitize our equipment with it. And that's where it started. And what we found when we started to do this was we were trying to figure out how to source all the things we need. It's amazing. Bottles are at a premium. Empty plastic bottles are at a premium in this country right now. Everybody's making sanitizer. Finding tops and bottles was the hardest thing we could find. But we sort of got our act together and got all our raw materials sourced, and we started producing that. What we did at NOLA Brewing was, when this hit, I just had, there was like no way I could let my bartenders go. So I wasn't prepared to do that, and I was going to figure out a way to keep them employed, and we did. And then finally we started making the hand sanitizer, so they just started doing the hand sanitizer production. So we had the employees to do the work, and it all worked out. So and it's been great. It's been a good revenue filler, but we're now looking at it and say, well, how does this play into our long-term model, and is there a role for hand sanitizer? We make craft beer, we can make craft hand sanitizer, right? Well, it's our view that when bars and restaurants open up, they're going to have a lot of this stuff around, right? And so we think there's an opportunity there to continue to supply. We've been doing it. We've had interest from different customers. We've had interest from hotels and hospitality entertainment industry, where this stuff is going to have to be around in a big way. And I in fact think the demand is going to go up as things start to open more. So we'll continue doing it. It's an interesting pivot. It's been a necessity for us, but it's also been fun to sort of develop a new product and strategies around this. We were doing a slight pivot before this. We were getting into a non-alcoholic product. We were making a hot tea. So that was we launched that 2 weeks before COVID. So great timing. Yeah, but it is traditionally more of a retail product, right? And so we were planning on it going to sort of the retail, convenience store, grocery store. So it fits well in the model that we have right now. It's just getting the attention of the buyers. And so that's been hard over the last month and a half, but that is playing a role in our strategy going forward as well, because we now have a product that is suited for that channel, that is open and doing well right now. And so, we're trying to launch that product and get that launched as well. So, who would have thought we're focused on like non-alcoholic products now as a go forward revenue stream for us? We're a brewery,
Quite a pivot.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the way you talk about it. I think we as consumers often misunderstand sort of what actually the true costs and where the businesses lie in some of the products that we consume. And here in Sonoma Valley, wine is obviously also an essential item, and you see the wine production is able to continue, but wineries are selling direct to consumer, which is really exciting. And they're like, these are our greatest direct to consumer days ever, which is fantastic because they don't have to pay the margin to the distributor, and they're not sort of having to mark down the dollar, and there's all those good things. But it was interesting. We were having a conversation. We've had a few conversations on the show with some winemakers, and what the consumer doesn't realize when they go and buy their wine, they're like, this is such an expensive bottle of wine, right? From a direct consumer amount. But the vast majority of the winemaker's business comes from restaurants.
Yeah.
And so that's what they count on when they are planning their inventory and they're planning their production, is on actually the restaurant trade. And so when the restaurants go, there's this just like massive knock-on effect that hole can't be filled by drive up direct to consumer. Hey guys, I'm going to pick up a
I'm going to pick up a
Doug, and he's
not going to do it. Yeah.
That. You're like, I feel really good about that, but there is a gaping hole in my business that
there's a gaping hole.
Yeah, and then when you have a product, and some of your products may be like this, beer is probably a little bit more shelf stable, although people do say check the date on your IPA. When you've got a product that you're like, I want them drinking the rosé this year, you're like, I'm sitting on hundreds or thousands of cases of product that is perishable, right? And we're seeing that across the country in every category. And I think it's often a misnomer that consumers forget that it's actually all these other parts of the ecosystem drive the business.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you don't really sort of think through. We do sell craft beer, so we do say it's freshest by a certain date. So we don't we take it back from our distributor if it's beyond that date. That date's coming up, and that's a big deal for us because there's a lot of cold beer sitting in their refrigerated distribution center. So we're trying to figure out some clever things that we could do with that. We have some ideas about that.
I got an idea here for you from the audience, which says Corey from Suffern.
Corey from Suffern. He's got a lot of ideas for me all the time. He's an old friend.
Do you ship beer, Doug? Are you shipping as well?
We don't ship beer, and that's the difference between wine and beer. We can't really ship direct to consumers like wine can. The laws allow wine, so they've even got a better business model than we do. So we can't even ship. You can
ship to friends?
You cannot ship beer to friends. I mean, I can. But you technically can't ship beer to friends. It's against the law. You have to have an alcohol shipper's permit. There's like all kinds of rules, and trust me, we looked into what can we do and how can we get this done. But we're restricted. It's a regulated business. There's definitely a giant hole in our business right now that we're trying to fill. But it's kind of amazing when you do think through. I keep telling everybody. I said in our disaster recovery, in our disaster planning, I never really thought about pandemic as hey, what would possibly make all your customers on the same day shut down, all your restaurant and bar customers shut down? Right. Pandemic.
or that Align and NOLA Brewing are correlated in some way.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. They are correlated. The brewery is on Align, and they do huddle every day, and they do plan on it, and we are doing 30, 60, 90-day planning on it. So there is a lot of correlation. Every business needs a good plan. Every business needs a tool.
Yeah.
So they are, and they're related by me. So
right.
I love it.
All right.
All right.
Well, good, Doug. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Everybody, anybody watching, Ario will put it in the chat room, but now would be a great time to go check out Align for your
Yeah, it's aligntoday.com.
aligntoday.com.
And good to know that Doug's got a whole inventory of beer past its
Got a
prime.
lot of beer if you want to come over. Yeah, the NOLA tap room's open
Our
Memorial
New
Day.
Orleans locations.
Pick up some beer at the NOLA Brewing tap room on
There you
Chop.
go. Thank
you. Have a great Memorial Day, Doug. And
I will. You guys too.
We'll get a chance to see
Thanks,
you soon.
man.
All right.
All right. Well, we are off here, taking tomorrow off. Next week, not off, but off from LPTV. We will be back. And guess what? We've got Mirror Tubs, we think, on the deck, correct?
He's coming up. I don't think we have a date yet, but he's coming up. Yeah.
First week of June, so we're excited for that.
Yep.
It was great to be with Doug and Sabrina today, and all of you. Thank you for the vibrant and lively conversation in the chat. Ariel will share all the details in our blog post. You want to close it out?
And one note, we now have all of the lifestyle business episodes are not just available on our YouTube channel, but are available as a podcast, so you can listen to the lively banter.
You have no excuse not to listen to us. We're everywhere.
We are everywhere. So thanks to everybody for joining us today, and hope everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend. Get some rest and recharge. And
happy birthday to Chris next week. Happy anniversary to us.
Yeah. And
happy Canada Day for those watching from my great home country, America's hat.
All right. So long, folks.